Okay, so you do your outreach on Upwork, or however you do your outreach. You get your first client, you message them, you get on the sales call, you close them, they paid the invoice, whatever, and you signed your first client. So, what I do for communication, which is the next stage, which is arguably one of the most important parts of running your agency, communication is very important. You can lose a client simply because you didn't communicate enough, and you can also keep a client even though your service delivery isn't the best, simply because you were communicative throughout and you were willing to make adjustments, and you kept the client's worries, I guess, in check. I think that's something that's very important. So for me, what I do for communication is I use like 5 different channels to communicate with my clients. So the first thing I use is email. So once you sign a client on Upwork, once you have that contract in place, you're allowed to, I guess, communicate outside of Upwork, but you have to have a contract first through Upwork. But once you get that contract set up, what I do is I get the client's email, or I ask them like on that sales call what they prefer to do for communication. I have clients who just want to stay and do messaging on Upwork. That's completely fine. But I let them know that I prefer to do something outside of Upwork when it comes to communication, because when like I tell them like I'm constantly receiving messages on Upwork, so sometimes it's a bit hard to kind of find your message, and it can get a bit messy. And a lot of the times the client will be like, yeah, we prefer doing communication outside of Upwork as well. So one option you can use Upwork, just message each other on Upwork. Two, email, um, just like simple emails back and forth with the client. It's a lot. The thing with email is it's a lot more. It's I think it's better than using Upwork, but there's still some issues with email because like there's limits, and like I'm receiving more emails than I am receiving Upwork messages. So it actually could be like even a bit more messy to just find the client. Um, like if I want to message a client, I have to like type their email in the search bar and then find our chat box or find our messages and then send the message. So there's a lot of downsides to using email. So I tell the client, I don't like using email. I don't like using Upwork because it's a bit slow. Um, and I want to just have somewhere where I can just directly message you. And a lot of the times the client will say yes. Sometimes they say no, they prefer using email or they prefer using or just staying on Upwork. And then if that's the case, honestly, there's not much you can do. So you just say okay. So it's not a big deal, I don't think. I do have a couple clients that I'm just messaging purely on Upwork. I do have a couple clients that I'm messaging purely through email. So it's not bad. Which one I would prefer over the two? Honestly, it's probably Upwork, because email I'm just receiving so many messages. But if I were to choose between the two, I would choose Upwork. The third thing I use is this one. It's called Slack, Slack. So the great thing about Slack is, it's free. First of all, it's completely free, and you can create one. So what I do is I create a Slack channel for my clients, and then I also create a Slack channel for, my team members and my contractors, just so I can like receive. So basically, for me, I receive messages here from my clients, and then I just directly message my clients. So it's pretty simple. You can use it for, you can create as many Slack channels as you want. Um, so I have one for, my agency. I have one for my, I guess for clients, one for freelancers. And I also have one for like, when clients tell me to join their Slack channel. That's the only downside I would say. I don't know how to kind of navigate around it, but unless you have the pro version, you have to have multiple channels. I wish there was a way you can just have everything in like one channel. So like I have multiple channels, but you see in this business, in my clients Slack channel, I only have like a couple clients. Like that's because the rest are either on Upwork, email, and I have like multiple. You see I'll have multiple Slack channels. So you can have as many Slack channels as you want, but a lot of the times the client will send you an invite to their Slack channel. And if you do that, it creates a new channel. If you were to invite a client to your Slack channel, then it'll show up here, but in the channel that you created. But if the client were to send an invite to their Slack channel, which is what they normally do, because they already have, clients that are already using Slack already have like some sort of channel made that has all their team members and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier for them to just send you an invite instead of you sending an invite to your channel and then you have to re-invite every single one of their team members. They can just send you an invite to their channel, and you're just plugged into one of these channels. So if you don't know how to use Slack or what Slack is, you can look it up. It's completely free. There is a paid version and a pro version, but I don't use it, and I don't recommend you use it at all. So just the free version of Slack is pretty useful. You message your clients. I'm not going to show any of the messages, but you message your clients. What I like to do is basically have my entire freelancer list here. And for each of the channels, I put my freelancer's name and then the client's names, just so I can organize and kind of look through which freelancer, which contractor is working with which client. And yeah, that's pretty much how I organize things. So that's Slack. I also use WhatsApp. A lot of people should be familiar with what WhatsApp is. I do have some of my freelancers on Upwork as well. But yeah, not Upwork, on WhatsApp. But yeah, on WhatsApp, you can also create groups. Some clients are more comfortable with using WhatsApp than Slack. That's perfectly fine too. So what you do is you add them as a contact, and then you create a WhatsApp group with your freelancer, and the client. And then, you guys can kind of message each other in that one group. So you can have multiple groups on WhatsApp. And that's another way to organize, your clients. So one way I use to, message and communicate with my clients is Upwork. Another is through email. Another is through Slack. Another is through WhatsApp. And the last one I use is Skype. So Skype, pretty much the same thing. You can invite your clients, send messages, create groups, whatever. So what I like to do is just whenever I get on the call with the client, I just ask them. I make sure to bring up the point of communication, and I say, this is something that I believe is very important. Do you prefer having some sort of communication channel where we can just create our own group? Sometimes they'll say yes. If not, you say, oh, can I invite you to my Slack channel? Can I invite you to my WhatsApp group or my Skype group? Can you send me your email? Like which do you prefer? And then you kind of want to bring up that conversation. I think it's something that's very important.